Jai Hind everyone. Myself Dr. Vandana Sharma from Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. The subject which I am teaching, subject is Engineering Physics, code is KS101T, and the topic which we are discussing here, that topic is relativistic mechanics. In relativistic mechanics, we have discussed that whenever you have a moving object and if that object is traveling with a speed which is comparable to c, then you cannot apply simple Newton's laws of motion, or you cannot apply Newtonian mechanics there, or you can say classical mechanics. In that particular case, we have to apply the special theory of relativity. So you have to apply this relativistic mechanics. And the basic idea behind relativistic mechanics is that nothing is absolute. Everything is relative. All the parameters which are associated with the moving object, those parameters, they are affected by motion of the object. So what we have done in relativistic mechanics, we have discussed about the frame of references, that is inertial and non-inertial frames. Then we have discussed about the universal frame of reference, which is your ether frame of reference. After that, we have discussed that Michelson-Morley experiment, which was an attempt to prove the existence of ether frame. And after the failure of that Michelson-Morley experiment, we came to this conclusion that there is nothing like ether frame, and whenever you want to describe the motion of any object, you will always describe with respect to a material object. So from there the special theory starts, special theory of relativity starts, and we are having four equations which are known as Lorentz equations, and those Lorentz equations, they are the base of relativistic mechanics. And using those four equations, we have derived an expression for length contraction, that length is affected by motion. Then we have derived an expression for time dilation, that time is also affected by motion. T is T naught upon root 1 minus V square upon C square. So we have discussed about that. Then we have solved few numericals based upon length contraction and time dilation. After that, we have reached at a conclusion that if two events are simultaneous in one inertial frame, then this is not necessary that those two events are simultaneous in another frame. So if you are having S and S dash, two inertial frames, and if and two events are simultaneous at two different positions in S frame, then those events will not be simultaneous in frame S dash. So that is known as your principles of simultaneity. So we have derived that expression for principle of simultaneity. So that was our last topic. Now today I am going to take a new topic here, and the name of the topic is addition of velocities, and this is also known as relativistic velocity addition theorem. So that is another name of this topic. So what we have here, we are having two inertial frames. So this is your first frame, that is S frame, and another frame is S dash, right? So I hope up to now it is clear that whenever we are describing this relativistic mechanics, we are taking a rest frame. So S is the frame which is at rest, and an observer is sitting in frame S at this particular position O. Now there is another frame S dash, this is your second frame S dash, and it is moving with the constant velocity V, which is comparable to C, and this particular frame, it is moving along positive direction of x-axis. So this particular axis, that is x or x dash, and there is one more observer O dash who is sitting in frame S dash. So what you have here, you are taking two systems, one is S, another one is S dash. S dash is moving with the constant relativistic velocity with respect to S. So both S and S dash, these frames are inertial frames, right? Now what we have to describe here, there is an object which is traveling with respect to frame S. So and that particular object is also, that object is also traveling with respect to O dash. Means two observers are there. Suppose I am observer O who is sitting in frame S, and you are moving with respect to me with this constant uniform velocity, right? Now there is an object which is moving, and that object is moving with respect to me as well as with respect to you. So we have to correlate the speed of that object in my frame, that is in S frame, with the speed of object in your frame, that is in S dash frame. So you have to correlate the speed of that object of one frame with the speed of object in another frame. So for that, what we are doing, we are taking this assumption that this object is traveling a distance dx in time dt in frame S. So you know that if object travels dx distance in time dt in your S frame, then what will be the speed of that particle along x-axis in that frame? Then the speed will be dx upon that movement of the that particle with respect to frame S along x-axis. That speed of the particle is dx upon dt. I hope this is clear. You are having two inertial frames, S and S dash. S is a frame which is at rest, whereas S dash is moving, and it is moving with this constant uniform velocity along x-axis. So both S and S dash are inertial frames. Now there is an object which is traveling, which is moving with respect to O as well as with respect to O dash, means that object is in motion with respect to both the frames. Now we have taken here that with respect to S, if object travels dx distance in time dt, then you can write the speed of that object along x-axis with respect to S frame, that will be dx upon dt. I hope this is clear. Now with respect to second observer, with respect to second frame S dash, if object travels dx dash distance in dt dash time in frame S dash, then what you will write the speed of that particle along x-axis with respect to S dash? It will be dx dash upon dt dash. Clear? So now I am going to show the next slide where you can get these two, that u and u dash. So now you have the velocity of body as measured by an observer in stationary frame S. So you have this, u is dx upon dt. This is the velocity of particle along direction of motion. X-axis is the direction of motion here. So u is dx upon dt, and the velocity of particle observed by an observer in frame S dash. In S dash, since it travels a distance dx dash in time dt dash, so your u dash will be dx dash upon dt dash. So you are getting this equation number 2. Now our objective is to correlate this 1 and 2. So you have to correlate this u with u dash. So in order to write the value of u in terms of u dash or u dash in terms of u, we are going to use our Lorentz transformation equations, because Lorentz transformation equations, they can convert the coordinates, position coordinates of one inertial frames into the coordinates of another inertial frame. Means you can write x dash in terms of x, you can write y dash in terms of y, you can write z dash in terms of z, or you can write t dash in terms of t, or vice versa. So that is with the help of Lorentz equation. So you know, according to Lorentz equation, if x is the direction of motion, then x dash will be equal to, this x dash will be x minus vt upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. So this particular portion, this is your x minus vt upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. And you know, since there is no movement along y-axis, so y dash will be y, and along z-axis, z dash is equal to z, and t dash is t minus vx upon c square upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. So what are these four equations? These are your Lorentz equations when direction of motion of S dash is along x-axis. Since in this case, even in this case, direction of motion is along x-axis, so x dash will be x minus vt upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. Y dash is y, z dash is z, and t dash equal to t minus vx upon c square upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. Now using these four equations, you will try to correlate u with u dash. You will try to write the value of u in terms of u dash or u dash in terms of u. So that is our objective here. So how we will write that u dash in terms of u? So for that we are just differentiating this particular term. So if x dash is this, then you can write the value of dx dash. This x dash is x minus vt upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. So what will be dx dash? It will be dx minus v dt upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. This will be your dx dash. If x dash is this, this particular term, then dx dash will be equal to this, because this entire term is constant. Your t dash is this, t minus v x upon c square upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. Now tell me what will be the value of dt dash? Your dt dash will be dt minus v dx upon c square upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. This will be the value of your dt dash, right? What we have done here, we have used Lorentz equations. Lorentz equations are x dash is x minus vt upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. This is your x dash. If this is x dash, then it implies dx dash. It is equal to dx minus v dt upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. I hope this is clear now. And you know the time transformation is t dash is t minus vx upon c square upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. This is the value of t dash that we have already derived using Lorentz equations. So basically these are Lorentz equations. So t dash equal to this. So if t dash is this, then what will be your dt dash? You know what is the value of dt dash then? It is dt minus v dx upon c square upon root 1 minus v square upon c square, right? Now let this is your equation 1 and this is your equation number 2. Just divide 1 by 2. If you will divide 1 by 2, what you will get? You will get here dx dash upon dt dash, right? This will be, if you will divide these two, you can see the denominator of both the terms that is equal. So you will get only this particular factor. You will get dx minus v dt, that is the numerator, and denominator will be only dt minus v upon c square into dx, right? Now next step is just divide numerator and denominator by dt. Divide numerator by dt, divide denominator by dt. So if you will divide both numerator and denominator by dt, you will get here dx upon dt, that is your first term, minus v, and in denominator dt by dt will be 1 minus v upon c square as it is, and this will be dx upon dt, because we are dividing both numerator as well as denominator by dt. And you know what is the value of this term? What is this? This is the velocity of particle with respect to frame S. It means this particular term is u minus v upon 1 minus, this is v upon c square, and dx upon dt is u. So finally what you are getting, and what is this term? You know what is the value of this? This is your u dash. It means your u dash is simply u minus v upon 1 minus uv upon c square. So what you have done? You have represented u dash in terms of u, and u dash is u minus v upon 1 minus uv upon c square. I hope the derivation part is clear to you. So there are two inertial frames. So here you have two inertial frames, S and S dash. S is at rest, S dash is moving with this constant uniform velocity along x-axis, and there are two observers O and O dash, and both are observing same event, both are observing same particle, and that particle is moving with respect to both the observer or both the frames. With respect to frame S, that particle travels a distance dx in time dt. So we are representing u as dx upon dt. Now the same particle with respect to S dash that travels distance dx dash in time dt dash, then what you will write? You will write here u dash is equal to dx dash upon dt dash, right? After that you have to correlate u with u dash. So for this you are going to apply Lorentz equations, and you know what are the Lorentz equations? So from Lorentz equations you have this x dash as x minus vt upon root 1 minus v square upon c square, and t dash equals to this, right? So if x dash is this, then your dx dash is equal to this one, and if t dash is equal to this, then accordingly you can write the value of dt dash. Now just divide this dx dash by dt dash. If you will divide, you are getting dx dash upon dt dash equal to this, and after that just simplify it, divide numerator and denominator by dt, you will get here dx upon dt minus v upon 1 minus v upon c square dx upon dt, and you know this factor is u, and you also know this factor is u. So just convert all those factors, write those all those factors. Finally you are getting u dash as u minus v 1 minus uv upon c square. I hope the derivation is clear now. So next point is, so this is your derivation, dx dash equal to this, dt dash is equal to this. This we have already discussed in that particular slide. So you have to divide dx dash by dt dash, and finally what you will get? You will get this result, u dash equals to u minus v 1 minus uv upon c square. So I have explained all the steps in previous slide, that how you are getting u dash as u minus v 1 minus uv upon c square. So you have converted u dash in terms of u. So this is different as compared to classical mechanics. In classical mechanics, depending upon the direction of both the moving particles, either the speed will be u minus v or u plus v, that is according to simple algebra. You can write u dash in terms of u, but here you cannot apply that simple algebra. You have to use those Lorentz equations, and you will get this particular relation, u dash as u minus v upon 1 minus uv upon c square, where u dash represents the velocity of particle with respect to s dash, u represents the velocity of same particle with respect to s, and v is the velocity with which s dash is moving, right? So this is your expression along the direction of motion according to this relativistic velocity addition theorem. You can just derive the inverse of this, means you can write u in terms of u dash. So if you want to derive that, let me tell you how you will derive this. So actually this is the term, but how you are getting this, let's derive that particular part. So in order to derive this, what you have to do, if you want to derive the inverse, then you have to take the inverse equations. What are inverse equations? X equal to x dash plus vt dash upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. This is your inverse equation. If this is x, what will be your dx? That dx will be equal to dx dash plus v dt dash upon root of 1 minus v square upon c square. I hope this is clear. So this is your equation number 1, right? And you know the time transformation in inverse transformation, the t is equal to t dash plus vx dash upon c square upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. So if this is t, then what will be your dt? dt will be equal to dt dash plus v dx dash upon c square upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. You are getting this, right? This is your equation number 2. Now what you have to do, simply divide 1 by 2. If you will divide 1 by 2, you will get here dx upon dt, and that dx upon dt will be, now you can see in equation number 1 and 2, denominators are equal. So when you will simplify it, when you will divide it, those denominators will get cancelled, and you will get here only dx dash plus v dt dash upon this dt dash plus, you are following the similar type of steps, dt dash plus v dx dash upon c square. Now next step is divide this numerator and denominator by dt dash. If you will divide both numerator and denominator by dt dash, you will get here dx dash upon dt dash plus v upon 1 plus v upon c square, and here you have dx dash upon dt dash, right? So now we are at this particular point here. You know what is this? This is u dash plus v upon, you know this is u dash 1 plus u dash v upon c square. So what is the final result? What is this? This is your u. So u is equal to u dash plus v, 1 plus u dash v upon c square. This is the derivation part, that if you want to write u in terms of u dash, then you have to apply these inverse equations, and if you want to write u dash in terms of u, then you will use those direct equations. I hope this derivation part is clear. So now I am showing a slide where this result is directly written, and how you are getting this result, that you can follow these steps. If you will follow these steps, then you can derive u as u dash plus v upon 1 plus u dash v upon c square. So this is the result. U is u dash plus v upon 1 plus u dash v upon c square. Now I am telling you one secret here, that if you want to directly write these equations, that is inverse equations, then convert this u dash to u, v to minus v, u dash to u to u dash, and v to minus v. So what will be, if you will apply this this particular method, then this will be u. Instead of u dash you will write u. Instead of u, what you will write? You will write u dash. Just change the coordinates of S frame into S dash, and the coordinates of S dash in terms of coordinates of S, and v to minus v. So u will be u dash minus v. Instead of v you will write minus v. So 1 minus is already there, so it will be plus 1. Instead of u you will write u dash here, so minus u dash. Instead of v you will write minus v, so it will become plus. So 1 plus u dash v upon c square. It means if you want to directly write, if you want to write directly the inverse of this, then just convert the coordinates of S frame into the coordinates of S dash frame, and the coordinates of S dash frame into the coordinates of S frame. That is the method. So now you can see that you are having same result here. U equal to u dash plus v, 1 plus u dash v upon c square. So this is the expression for relativistic velocity addition theorem. You are having two expressions here. You can write u in terms of u dash, this is a result, or you can write u dash in terms of u. It is u minus v, 1 minus uv upon c square. And generally this particular equation, this is used to solve the numericals of addition theorem, because we always want to describe the motion of any object with respect to a stationary observer. So your frame S is a stationary frame and observer O is the stationary observer. So this U is the velocity of that particle with respect to stationary observer. So generally we are using this particular expression to solve all the numericals, right? So we are having two special cases of this addition theorem. Special cases means, using this addition theorem, you can prove that this particular theorem that completely follows second postulate of special theory of relativity. This is first special case. What I am telling, you have to prove here that this velocity addition theorem that is totally in consistence with second postulate of special theory of relativity. Or in other words, I can say that this addition theorem that completely follows second postulate of special theory of relativity. Now first you have to remind here that what is your second postulate of special theory of relativity. I hope you all have this idea that what is your second postulate of special theory of relativity. So I am giving you a hint. There were two postulates of special theory of relativity. One was postulate of equivalence, or you can say principle of equivalence, and the second one was principle of constancy of speed of light. So now tell me, what is second postulate of special theory of relativity? Second postulate of special theory of relativity is speed of light is constant in all inertial frames. Speed of light is having same value in all inertial frames. Means if the speed of light is c in one inertial frame, then it is having same value c in all inertial frames. So you have to prove this using addition theorem. Clear? So what we are doing here, we are taking two inertial frames. One is S and the second frame is S dash, right? This frame is at rest, and the second one, it is moving with constant uniform velocity, which is comparable to c. So these are two frames, and this s dash is moving along positive direction of x-axis, right? Now what we are considering, suppose there is a photon. Now you know photon always travels with speed of light. Let there is a photon which is traveling, or a particle which is traveling with c speed, that let u dash is equal to c, means the particle in frame s dash, it is traveling with speed c. Now you have to prove here that if u dash is c, then the speed of that particle with respect to s is also c, means the speed of light is having same value in all inertial frames. So what we are taking here, we are taking u dash equal to c. So if u dash is c, then according to addition theorem, what will be u? You know what is the formula. U is u dash plus v upon 1 plus u dash v upon c square. This is a formula. If u dash is known and the speed of that frame is also known, you can write the value of u. So u will be u dash plus v 1 plus u dash v upon c square. Now just substitute the value of u dash as c. So what you are getting? C plus v 1 plus cv upon c square. Now this c will get cancelled by this c. So if it will get cancelled, you will get here c plus v upon. Now you are getting 1 plus v upon c. Then this c will be LCM here. So what you will get here? You will get here c plus v upon c. So this c plus v will get cancelled, and this term will be c only. So u is equal to c, means if there is a particle which is traveling with speed c in frame s dash, then according to addition theorem, you can prove that that particle is also traveling with same speed c with respect to another observer in inertial frame s. In s dash, particle is traveling with c, and that frame is traveling with this particular velocity. Then according to addition theorem, that particle is also traveling with same speed in frame s. So if u dash is c, then u is also equal to c. So that is first special case of this addition theorem, means this addition theorem that totally follows second postulate of special theory of relativity. So I hope this particular part is clear. Now we are going to discuss the second special case. First case is clear, that if u dash is c, then u is also equal to c, means if the speed of a particle is c in one inertial frame, then it is also c in another frame, means speed of light is constant in all inertial frames. Now the second case, this is our special case of addition theorem or relativistic velocity addition theorem, and according to this, maximum possible speed for any material particle is equal to speed of light. With the help of relativistic addition theorem, we can prove that the maximum attainable, maximum possible speed for any material particle is always equal to speed of light. Means if you are adding speed of light into speed of light, even then the result is not greater than speed of light, that will be equal to c. Means a particle can never travel with a speed greater than c. So that can be proved with the help of this relativistic addition theorem. I hope the meaning of second special case is clear. What we have to prove here? We have to prove here that maximum attainable or maximum possible speed for any material particle is equal to c. What is the meaning of this? I can explain it like that. Suppose you are having two inertial frames. One is S, this is your frame S, which is stationary frame, and another frame is S dash, and this particular frame is moving, and it is moving along x-axis, clear, and it is traveling with a constant velocity, and let that constant velocity with which S dash is moving, that is equal to c. Means if I am the stationary observer who is sitting in frame S, then with respect to me, the second frame, that is S dash, it is moving with speed of light, clear. Now suppose there is a particle in frame S dash which is traveling with speed c for this observer O dash, means this frame itself is moving with speed of light and there is a particle which is also traveling with speed of light. Now we have to prove here that when a particle is traveling with speed of light in a frame which is also traveling with speed of light, then for this that stationary observer, the speed of particle cannot be greater than c. It will be equal to c. Any particle, any material particle can never travel with a speed greater than speed of light. So how you can prove that? You have u dash equal to c, means this particle in S dash is traveling with c, and the frame is also traveling with c. Then you know, according to addition theorem, what is the value of u? U is u dash plus v upon 1 plus u dash v upon c square. So what you have to do here, you have to substitute the value of u dash as c and v as c. So this will be c plus c, 1 plus c into c, c square upon c square, then it will be 1 plus 1 means 2. So 2c by, this will be u is equal to 2c by 2. It means this is equal to c. Means if according to addition theorem, if you are adding speed of light into speed of light, even then you cannot get a speed greater than c, that is equal to c here. So according to this, the maximum possible speed, maximum attainable speed for any material particle, maximum attainable velocity in nature is speed of light. It cannot be greater than that. Clear? So these are the two special cases associated with this addition theorem. I hope this particular part is clear. Now how you can get questions based upon this? You can get questions like prove that maximum attainable speed for any material particle is speed of light. So simply you have to take u dash c, vc, you will get u is also equal to c. So then you can conclude that maximum possible speed or maximum attainable speed for any material particle is equal to speed of light. Or you can get a question that you have to prove that this addition theorem that completely follows second postulate of special theory of relativity. So you can prove it simply by using u equal to u dash plus v, 1 plus u dash v upon c square. So this is your relativistic addition theorem, right? So now the next topic is this we have already discussed. Now we are having some numerical problems based upon this. So what we have a question here, an experimenter observes a radioactive atom moving with the velocity of 0.2 c. Clear? The atom then emits a beta particle with a velocity of 0.9 c relative to the atom in the direction of its motion. What is the velocity of beta particle as observed by the experimenter? So the velocity of beta particle as observed by the experimenter is u, you know, according to addition theorem, u is equal to u dash plus v upon 1 plus u dash v upon c. Here the velocity of beta particle relative to the atom is 0.9 c, that is mentioned over here, and the velocity of atom related to the experimenter is 0.25 c. So you have u dash which is 0.9 c, you have v which is 0.25 c. So what will be your u? It will be u dash plus v upon 1 plus u dash v upon c square. So this is 0.9 c plus 0.25 c, 1 plus 0.95 c into 0.25 c upon c square. This c square will get cancelled by this. So you will get here, just add these two terms and solve this denominator, you will get 0.994 c. This is the speed of that beta particle with respect to that experimenter, right? So you can solve numericals based upon addition theorem. Now we are having our next topic, which is variation of mass with the velocity of particle, or you can say relativistic mass formula. So this is a very important relationship. So in our next lecture we will derive this relationship which will correlate the mass of a particle with the velocity of particle. In classical mechanics, you know that everything is absolute, nothing is affected by motion. So if a particle is having mass m naught, it is always m naught. But in relativistic mechanics, if a particle is traveling with a very high speed, or you can say relativistic speed, or you can say when v is comparable to c, then mass is affected by motion. That mass of the particle will increase when particle is traveling with a relativistic speed. And you know that the famous formula m equal to m naught upon root 1 minus, you have that formula m equals to m naught upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. You have seen this formula in your previous classes, but how this formula, how you are getting this particular formula, that we will see here with the help of Lorentz transformation equations. With the help of those equations, we will derive this one. Clear? So this is your relativistic relation between mass and velocity. So we will discuss it in our next lecture. So thank you for today. Thank you very much.